Hello everyone, welcome to MDLR Fishing. My name is Mark, and today I'm going to be talking to y'all about my kayak fishing setup. But before we even get started, this is something that every brand new kayak angler needs to know. Chances are if you're watching this video, it's because you're thinking about getting into kayak fishing, you're a brand new kayak angler, or you're just someone who wants to see the setup because it's probably something similar to what you have, or you're just curious. The number one thing that I want y'all to take away by watching this video, and the reason why I say that each and every brand new kayak angler needs to know by watching this video, is do not be in a rush to hurry up and outfit your kayak with all the bells and whistles. Just because something that you see here on my kayak or someone else's kayak works for them doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. So be patient, take your kayak out on the water, learn what its capabilities are, figure out what you want on your kayak. Maybe you don't need 4 or 5 rod holders, maybe you just need one. Maybe you don't need it in the back, maybe you need it in the front. Paddle holders, fish finders, you name it. Test out your kayak first and foremost, because what works for me, again, may not necessarily work for you. Then you're gonna spend all your hard-earned cash on something that you've come to find out 2-3 months down the road you don't really even need. All right, so now that that's out of the way, we're gonna talk about the kayak itself and everything that I have placed on it through the course of 12 plus years of fishing. I am a creature of habit, so anything that I place on this kayak, I automatically know where it's at without having to even look for it, and I can grab it because of muscle memory. So starting up here at the bow, you've got a hatch. First and foremost, let's back up a little bit. I'm fishing from a 2020 Hobie Outback. This guy is perfect for shallow water fishing that I do out there in the marsh, mainly because of the drive system. That's this guy right here. When you're in shallow water, this is what I do. These fins, it's the propulsion system for the kayak, they are gonna allow me to just do this right here. And I can still propel myself in 6 inches of water. If I'm cruising at 3 miles an hour or so, and then I hit some oyster or run up to a shallow flat that I can't see with the eyes, the fins are basically gonna kick up just like that. So that's gonna happen right there. That is the main reason why I'm fishing from this platform. Now, for each and every one of y'all, you may have a different fishing style, so there is no right or wrong kayak. One kayak is not better than the other. I need y'all to thoroughly understand that. You have a lot of people out there that say, no, my kayak costs more, therefore it's better. Just toss that out the window. The best fishing kayak is the one that you're catching fish out of. That's it, period. So as long as you can get out on the water, get off the bank, and jump into a platform that suits your needs, you're gonna be good to go. Now, back to the front of the kayak, you have a front bow hatch and minimal storage underneath here. And working our way back into the cockpit area, you see right here is my paddle, and I've got a paddle holder right here, and it's mainly because I do a lot of push pulling, and that just means that I'm standing up on the kayak doing this number right here inside very shallow water. When I see a redfish, because I'm most of the time wanting to sight cast those guys, when I see him, it's all one continuous motion that I go through. I keep my eyes on that fish, put my paddle right there, try to be as quiet as possible, because any noise bumping that hole is gonna transmit through the plastic into the water, and you're gonna spook your fish. So when I do that, I'm also reaching behind me, grabbing my fishing rod, again, all the while looking at that redfish, and then make my cast, wham, we got the fish. Now, this paddle right here used to have another paddle on this side, but because I do push pull a lot and I'm trying to scoot through the mud and drag my kayak through that, I broke one of the little paddles off, and what I did was just modify it. I put a T handle, and this thing is still good to go. I actually prefer this over a double paddle. This is just getting me through nice and slow inside the marsh. Now, holding the paddle down is a paddle holder right here. It's got 2 little wheels, and it basically locks it in place. Why do I have that right there? Okay, so if the wind is blowing and I didn't have this, at one point in time I did not have it, my paddle would basically do this number. It rocks back and forth and you hear that noise. That little bit of noise will spook the redfish if you're trying to sight cast them. So that's why I have this little paddle holder right there. Moving along into the cockpit area, we'll start up here. You got two pull cords, one on the left, one on the right over here. This guy operates the transducer for the Fishfinder. If we're gonna hit some oyster, then you pull it back as hard as you can, lock it in place. It protects the transducer from getting dinged and battered. The right-hand side operates your rudder. So that rudder is spring loaded. If you're gonna go shallow or you're transporting your kayak, just pull it up and you're good. Now over here, you've got a nice rail system with some bungees. What I use these bungees for is right here, you can see it. I've got hooks that I've used, and you got it on both sides. You got a rail system to attach. What I've got over here is my Fishfinder, and this rail system is perfect. You've also got some rubberized mesh nets. You can throw little things inside there. You can see that I've got a few things over here, and then over here it holds my Procure. Now the Fishfinder, a lot of people ask like, hey, you're not even in deep water. Why do you even need a Fishfinder? There's a ton of reasons why I use this. The water that I'm fishing, like 90% of the time, it's very chocolate milk-like, murky, very dark. You can't see where drops are. This thing can. It'll let you know where a shallow flat ends and then a drop happens for the bayou. Fish love to congregate in those areas, so this is gonna help me to see that. Also, whenever I catch a fish, I can drop a waypoint down. And when I start going back to these areas over and over again, and I happen to see tons of waypoints dropped in that area, it lets me know like, hey, fish love to congregate in this area. We need to spend a little bit more time there. And then another reason is for the maps. I can see the trails that I'm taking and I can find my way back. Not that I don't think I'm ever gonna get lost in the marsh, but I mean, it may be a foggy day, who knows? The use of trails is definitely something that it's advantageous to have that use. Down here are my forceps. Whenever you need to get those lures out of a tight spot inside a fish's mouth, these guys definitely come in handy. So they're always right here. Here at the seat, you can see that I've got a PFD. I can't stress enough the importance of wearing a PFD out there while you're on the water, regardless of temperature or depth or anything like that. Y'all always see me in very shallow water, but I'm still wearing this thing because you just never know what's gonna happen. A good PFD is gonna be able to keep you afloat whenever you're unconscious. This is the one that I choose to wear. I've got a nice sound device, which is the whistle. It's got plenty of pockets to store all my things. I keep my phone, my sidearm, some scissors for tying my leaders on, and that's what we got right here. Now, moving to the seat back, over here, I have a little bag that I can carry things. In this case, it's lunch or a snack to hold me over if I get hungry out there on the water. I also keep my sunglasses in here, and then just other small things that I want out of the way and not back here. This right here is a little fob for my power pole micro anchor system, and that's at the rear of the kayak. I'll show you that in a second, but I wear it right here on my wrist. Up button, down button, it controls the spike going up and down. Right here in the center of the cockpit, you also have a center hatch right here, and inside this bad boy, I've got fishing lures, my leader line. I've got 3 different styles, just depending on which setup that I'm using. And then I also have my Fishfinder battery. And then I have a towel to wipe my hands off if need be. So all of that is conveniently located right here. Going under the seat of my kayak, I carry 1 tackle tray and that's it, in conjunction with what I have inside the center hatch, that's all the tackle that I take with me, and it's conveniently stored under here. I also have my battery box. This is the lifeblood of the GoPro that I'm wearing on my head to capture the majority of all the action, and all these batteries are what I use to record a full day of fishing. Over here to the rear right of the kayak, I've got my fish grip. This guy is always here, and whenever I catch something, I can just reach right behind me. It's tethered down by a little brass clip ring, and I've got floats in case I don't clip it down and it falls out. It's gonna float my gripper, and again, tethered down right there. Also, back here towards the rear is my little kayak net. The reason why I use such a small net is it's out of the way. It doesn't catch the wind. Those big, huge nets that everybody has sticking up or something like that, more power to you. You can definitely land all kinds of big fish if you want. I can achieve the same effect, but with a smaller footprint, because real estate on a kayak is at a prime, and you need to figure out like how much weight you're gonna take out there. Because I'm a YouTuber, I take a lot of camera gear, batteries, so on and so forth, and just using smaller items definitely helps out. Here on the left-hand side, you've got a rudder control for the left, and then you also have one over there on the right-hand side as well. I absolutely love a kayak that gives you dual rudder controls, because when you're fighting a fish, if your rod is in your left hand, you want to be able to manipulate the kayak rudder and the direction that you're going with your right hand, vice versa. When you're fighting them with the rod in the right hand, well, you've got the left rudder control. It's very important to make all these rudder movements and manipulate your kayak on the fly, and having dual rudder controls is an absolute necessity for my style of fishing. Now we come back over here. I call this rod holder my kayak holster. This guy is situated just in the perfect spot to holster it, and then the tip of the rod with the lure hanging down is at a perfect place for me to unhook the fish or make any lure changes or anything like that, retying a leader. I always know that if I need to holster my rod, I can do that right here. You do have built-in rod holders in the rear and in the front of the kayak. I hate using those because of the direction that they hold everything. This guy is nice and tidy. It's where I want it, and it's always out of the way and allows me to make any adjustments to my lures, my leaders, the rod, the setup that I'm using at a moment's notice. Working our way to the rear tank well of the kayak, you've got two rail management systems, again similar to what's up there at the front, with the exception that you've got a bungee right here. You still have the other bungees that can clip onto that bungee if need be. I don't even use this at all. I do use the rail system. You can see that I have my safety flag back here with a night light, and then the rod holster is also worked over here on the front end. Plenty of options. So what you have right here on the left hand side, you also have on the right hand side. Now inside the tank well, I've got a crate, and this is very vital to the way I fish. It's got 4 rod holders built into it. You've got rails that if you want to add more accessories, you can definitely do so. But what I do is, while moving from one spot to another, I've got all 4 rods back here inside the crate. The crate itself has bungees to tie down your rods. I never use it. It's just tedious to untether your rods whenever you go out there. I'm taking a big chance in losing these guys if I flip the kayak. Inside the crate, I've got my camera bag. This guy is a waterproof bag, and it holds nothing more than all my camera equipment. So the big fancy camera that I'm filming on right now is very high dollar. So I spend money on a high dollar bag to ensure that no water is gonna harm it. And that's what I've got inside here is my lens holder. I've also got my drone if I choose to fly the drone for the day. That's in here. And that's pretty much it. I also have a first aid kit. Let me see if I can pull that out. right here. Something that every kayak angler needs to carry out there on the water: bandages, Neosporin, a nice safety mirror, and headache medicine, you name it, it's gonna be inside here. So that's all I keep back here. There's no hooks or anything like that inside here, so I don't have to worry about puncturing this bag. Over here at the very rear of the kayak is that micro anchor that I told y'all from Power Pole. This guy has saved me a lot of times, especially in very windy conditions, and you wanna hold your spot. There's no need to try to operate an anchor trolley. It takes too much time. By the time you try to throw your anchor out, it's gonna make so much noise with the splash, and then you gotta make sure it sticks. And then you have to wait for tension on your anchor line. They are very cheap, and in comparison to this guy is almost the cost of another kayak. However, if you're serious about fishing, so let's rephrase that, because some of y'all may be serious, but you don't really need to use this. If it suits your needs, this guy is a game changer. For me, it's definitely worth it because I love to sight cast redfish. So when you go hunting after them and you need to anchor really quick, I don't want to fumble with anything else. I just double click the down button, whammo, I'm going to hold my position where it's where I'm at, and I'm not going to keep going forward and spook off a redfish that I'm trying to sight cast. Right over here is a cart that's going to help me move the kayak back and forth from the truck to the launch, inside the water, the boat ramp, wherever I am trying to launch. This cart is going to help me do it safely. You can use Hobie's carts. However, my experience with them, I've always developed cracks back here where the scupper holes go. Hobie's carts normally clip in through here, not all of them, but like the HD one that I used, anything that goes through the scupper, which is called a scupper cart, they develop cracks. This Malone cart right here basically provides bump boards, and they're very soft. It straps on. It's tedious to strap it on the kayak, but it does work. And that's gonna do it for my kayak fishing setup. I hope that each and every one of y'all out there watching is able to take any ideas away and apply it to your style of fishing. If it works for you, then by all means use what it is that I have created for myself and the way that I go out there fishing. A lot of the things that I am using are going to be listed in the description down below. So for those of y'all that have questions, go into my description, check it out. It's going to take you to Amazon where you can view some of the things that I'm using. And that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, tight lines, y'all.